exception of 2015 20th Avenue.
I so moved.
I have a,
We've already voted that.
That's what I thought we
It's
did.
already, we already voted it.
Okay. Well, I'm good. Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right.
We got to proceed with some kind of action.
Yeah, we got to proceed with the action. We voted to close the hearing. We didn't vote to take any action.
right, it was just a vote to close the hearing. Now we need to discuss, we're not done, Mr. Quinn.
Yeah, we're done.
You taking the action?
Right, we just moved to close the
Yes, ma'am.
hearing. Now we're at the point where we need to look at action. I did have a couple of, there was a lot of information brought out from the citizens that spoke today. Number one, there is a concern, with someone regarding the tax issue. Have we thoroughly, I know you said that the people listed on there may not be whatever. What is the process, or how long does a property get not, the taxes not be paid on before they exchange hands and becomes the property of someone else?
Technically, if the taxes aren't paid by August 31st of any given year, it goes into tax sale at the end of August, every given year. The different people, different entities, anyone that wants to attend that tax sale can purchase that property in taxes. The entity, anyone but, let me put it this way, those that have bought those properties in taxes will not get a tax deed from that respective county until the fourth year. In other words, even though some properties were bought in taxes in August of 2016, those that bought that same property in taxes for August of 2012 now have a tax deed to that property. So as this gentleman was speaking, if he has a tax deed to that property, it is for August of 2012 if he has a legitimate tax deed. That means that that particular property has gone in tax sale for several consecutive years. Also, I want to reiterate and assure this council, if anyone wants to rehab one of these properties, as much as I would not like to, and I don't mean to be rude, ugly toward anybody, but if we've done the work to get it to the point of bringing it to this council, I'm ready to tear it down. If I could, I'd tear it down tomorrow. But if they want to rehab this house, any of these houses, they are more than welcome to. But understand that according to the codes that you've adopted as a council, we are responsible to make sure that they bring that house back to a habitable state according to those codes, which means they have to hire a licensed electrician, a licensed plumber, a licensed contractor to do most of this work, license being that they're licensed with the state of Mississippi and the city of Meridian, in that order.
Second question that I had as it relates to the condemnation process. I know you said that if we vote to do this today, and for those individuals that you're willing to work with and that kind of thing, in lieu of what was brought out regarding having to bring properties up to the modern and the current statutes and things of that nature, how will you work with individuals here that might go tomorrow and get the engineer, get the permit, get all the stuff that they need? Will they be subject to bringing it up to code to the way it is now, or are we going to hold them to that standard of modern day?
They'll have to be held to that standard of modern day. First of all, most of these houses have been in this particular state for more than 2 years. So regardless to whether a house is condemned, if a house has been left vacant and we haven't condemned it yet, and it's been in that state for more than 2 years, quite naturally we check with the utilities, our own water billing, to see when was the last time utilities were provided to those properties. That alone will state that they have to bring it up to today's codes. In some instances, if it's only been vacant 6 months or more, the permitting department will work with them. But in these particular instances, once we have condemned them, they're going to have to bring that house up to today's standard. But we will work with them. We will work with them. In all due respect to Mr. Thomas, as much as it kind of pains us to have to start all over again, if they come in and are willing to enter into a written agreement with us and then obtain the permits, we will give them time and opportunity to repair and rehabilitate those structures.
And how long, what's the process of a property coming off of the condemnation list?
Well, we'll give them up to a year, as long as they're working consistently. Sometimes it takes more than a year, but if they will work consistently, we'll give them the time necessary. Once that house is brought back to a habitable state, all we have to do is prepare another council order requesting the council cancel that condemnation of that property. And that's all that has to take place.
I just have a couple of remarks, and then we can move forward. We've spent, I think, the first hour and a half of the meeting, almost hour and a half of the meeting on these issues. Like Kim, a number of the things that came out to me during the discussion or during the statements given by some of the individuals who are interested in these properties deal with the lack of trust, inconsistency in communication, inconsistency period, based on who they communicate with, exceptions made after an order has been entered, and then the finality of an order. After the council takes action to condemn properties, the discretion depends no longer on the council, but on the Community Development Department, Inspection Department, as to how you are going to work with each individual, which is going to require different obligations and different promises to each individual. So those are some of my concerns that I have and that I've voiced before, and probably the reason, separate and distinct from what we currently have and what we've been currently shown, that I'm probably going to vote against it. You said earlier, before Ms. Houston asked the questions that she had, if it was up to you, once you got this order, you tear them down tomorrow. You said that. Mm-hmm. Your opinion and your discretion, ultimately, in that department, with the assistance of Mr. Partridge, is what is going to occur. If it's your decision to tear it down, you do it. If it's your decision to work with that person, you do it. If they show an effort, you do it. But ultimately, it's your discretion, and no longer the council. No longer does the council have the power to re-review it. Councilman Thomas asked previously if you could briefly walk through the process of what you do, and you did that to some extent. I'm going to ask you if you could, within the next week to 2 weeks, depending on the schedule of our attorney, get with our attorney and allow our attorney, through his office, maybe an associate attorney in that office, to prepare a brief memo or short overview as to that process, what is required in that process, the weight of the ordinances that we currently have, other things that we have adopted, what you look at, what procedures you place on each one of these properties as you're bringing them to these meetings, and get that to us so that we can review it. Like I said, there have been several questions that have been raised. There have been several things that we've adopted as it relates to these current policies. But everybody needs to be consistent and on one accord. And the last thing I'm going to say, and I'm not going to say anything else, where there is the inability for a citizen to understand, whether it be 1 or 30, however many properties you put up here, whether there is the inability for the citizen to understand the codes, the ordinances, and all the procedures that y'all implement in deciding whether to condemn these properties. Ultimately, it's on us to make sure that they understand and are competent with that process as you go through it. Even though you communicate with them, they are not going to know which questions to ask, how to ask for timelines, and how to ask for interpretations as to how you view these issues, because you're, to some extent, the experts in the city of Meridian as it relates to these issues. So I'm going to ask that moving forward, y'all do a little bit better job. And I know y'all give them letters, and I know y'all give them notices, and I know y'all talk to them on the phone or whatever. But I'm going to ask that y'all, to some extent, do a better job of bridging that gap so that when we come in here, there are less allegations of trust, communication, inconsistency, and implementations of exceptions.
All right, based on what we've heard, and we appreciate the citizens that came out today, regarding Mr. Young's properties, I think there was a need for a work session, just so we can some of the stuff that was being said, and I know that they are in some type of condition, but with the information that's been shared today, that basically opened my eyes to some things. Would like to maybe look at having that work session with him. Also, Ms. Jordan, there seemed to have been some type of misunderstanding of this engineer thing and so forth and so on. And the property that you had mentioned, 2015 20th Avenue, me personally, I would like for those particular properties to be excluded from the condemnation, so that we can get better clarification and move forward if the other council members agree, and leave all the other ones that you have put forth on.
Okay, I'm gonna be opposed to that. Some people have to work, can't come to this hearing. If it is a legal matter, like you brought it, I'm no attorney, so I don't know.
Right.
It can be done legally.
If I get a speeding ticket, I'm not allowed to go down to the police department and say, I'll slow down next week. To me, it's the same thing. And if we're gonna leave one off, let's leave them all off. Because some people can't come.
Well, they had opportunity to come.
But some people have to go to work. Some people may be in the hospital. Some people, you know.
They could have wrote in.
Yeah,
They could have communicated if they wanted us to do something like they did before.
Kim, we need to vote on it.
That was my recommendation.
We need to vote on it like it is, like it's been brought.
All in favor with how it's been presented, with all properties being on the list? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. This officially closes our public hearing with action taken regarding these properties. So we will resume back with our regular meeting at this point. Routine item number 2, order confirming the appointment of Robert J. Bresnahan as Judge Pro Tem.
Second.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
Since Chris Falgott's resignation as Judge Pro Tem, we've been in the process of trying to recruit and hire another Judge Pro Tem. Before you today is Robert Bresnahan, Bob Bresnahan, to serve in that capacity. Bob has been practicing.
If we could please have order in the room, please. Thank you.
Bob has been a practicing attorney here in Meridian since 1973. 21 other years he served as a city prosecutor for the city of Meridian. He is authored the historic preservation ordinances. He served on many other organizations and commissions for the city of Meridian. Bob currently goes to St. Patrick's Church. He's married with 4 children. You have this resume before you today. I want to bring Bob Bresnahan to serve as Judge Pro Tem for the city of Meridian.
Is he here today, Mayor?
I do not see Bob. I don't.
Okay.
He was supposed to be here, probably practicing today.
In your discussion with Mr. Bresnahan, first of all, I think Mr. Bresnahan is an excellent attorney. He does a lot of family law, and he's actually served in some capacity before. Does a lot of different practice here in the city of Meridian, and is very, very qualified to do it. My question is, based on our discussions during the budget meeting and some of the work sessions, have you discussed with him the possibility of serving a second day during the week for court, or having court more than one day? We currently have court on Monday. It's almost a cattle call as to the number of people who have to respond to the particular allegations or matters in front of them. So was there, during the course of your discussion with Mr. Bresnahan, any discussion towards him possibly serving a second day to give that court more flexibility?
Yeah, we've talked about doing that in the future. Right now, you all just created the new budget. Right now, in that budget, we don't have money for that second day to pay the prosecutor, the two public defenders, another judge. I do also have to bring before you pretty soon that we are going to need a third public defender. I told y'all we have some issues with ACLU that are going to be brought to us. So we are going to be requesting for another public defender to serve in that capacity with the City of Meridian. I don't have within my judicial budget monies for a second full day, which it is going to cost us to pay for those prosecutors, public defenders, and those judges to be available and ready for that second day. It is something I think that we need to discuss in the future. I discussed that with both he and Judge Robbie Jones. It's something that we'll look at, but until we have monies to do that and also the flexibility for both of them doing that, we just can't do it right now. Today I'm before you to bring the fact that we don't have a Judge Pro Tem, so Robbie Jones is still serving that capacity. If he has to do a second day right now, he's doing that. Of course, on Thursday they do the prelims, that sort of thing, but until we get to that point, we're still at one day.
To the extent that we discussed it in the council meeting, and we discussed it, I remember in the work sessions, the budget sessions, we discussed it in the overview meeting before we tackled the budget and asked that a plan be provided. So if you didn't have any funding in the budget, it's because a plan was not provided us to do that, but we hope that we'll be able to do that. Let's vote for
Let's vote on this.
Let's vote for Mr. Bresnahan.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Routine item number 3, order authorizing an easement for lines to Bell South Telecommunications LLC.
Second.
Council, we have a request from AT&T to grant them an easement on some property. It's a 10-foot wide strip. This will be a utility easement. This is something that utility companies have to have in order to maintain their service.
And the information that was sent to us with that correction, has that all been corrected?
I'm not aware of any necessary corrections.
It was
Council.
property that did not belong to the,
That's on the easement for the ball.
oh, wrong easement.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
All righty.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Routine item number 4, resolution authorizing execution of contract for use of the Lauderdale County Jail.
Move approval.
Morning, Council.
Morning.
Morning.
My brother and I build a house. I pay a little over half. He pays the rest of it. His kids get to stay there free. When my kids go, he charges me. Yet I still pay half the utilities, half the upkeep, half the salary of housekeeping. Doesn't seem fair, but that's where we are.
Bottom line, we still get 37.
We still get 25 beds. The price has gone up to $45 a day from 38.
So we only get 25 now?
25 beds
At $45 a day.
at $45.
And that's
They
not a
are-
24-hour period.
It can be a 1-minute period after midnight.
And also, the other fee went up to $90.
Well, usually we don't run into that fee because we get to the judge pretty quickly.
But if we do,
But if we do, yes, it has gone up.
we've got a jail that all the county residents, which includes all the residents of the City of Meridian, through property tax, just like you said, about half or a little over half of the cost of the construction, the operation, the salaries, and everything else comes out of the property tax in the City of Meridian. And yet, even though we paid for half of that jail and everything in it, we're being expected to pay $40-something a day to put somebody in there.
Yes, sir.
And depending on who arrests them, right?
If the city arrests them, they are city prisoners, and we pay $45 a day.
So if a deputy comes out here and gives me a ticket on the street adjacent to City Hall,
That's theirs.
then we're not expected to pay it.
That's correct.
It's real interesting. I'm gonna vote for it because we ain't got any choice.
But just so everybody knows,
Rip off to the city.
just so everybody knows, we only get 25 out of the 300 beds,
That is correct, sir.
which is not right. Bill, is that something that cannot be legally renegotiated, or is that what we agreed to years ago and we don't have any choice?
You can negotiate, but
There's
if you
nothing,
want to use the jail, it's pretty much county's mercy.
county's mercy. Love it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Routine item number 5, resolution to employ professionals in connection with the insurance of Go Bonds for constructing, equipping, and furnishing the Arts and Entertainment Center.
So moved.
Second.
This is a resolution so that we can hire the firm of Butler Snow to represent us on the bonds, as well as employing our financial advisor of Government Consulting.
Any questions, comments?
And I have looked at their financial statements and their ratings. People say I haven't.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Routine item number 6, order authorizing amendment of order number 16139, approving overlay for signage.
Move approval.
Second.
This is with the exception, right?
That's correct. As you remember, last month, Mr. Winter came before you when we did the overlay. We just extended that overlay. We're working with business owners there, so we just asked him to extend that overlay. Our attorney firm had a conflict, so we hired Mr. Dreyfus to look at it, and it's perfectly legal. And I have 2 representatives from Mitchell sign here if you'd like to talk to them.
This is frontage road or the mall area?
It's the frontage road. We're extending it to the frontage road.
Frontage road, okay.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Routine item number 7, resolution amending resolution number 4397, incentive program for Meridian Fire Department.
Good morning, council.
Morning.
This request is to recognize degrees outside of fire science. In the past, I have pushed, kicked, cussed, fussed to get AAs and BS degrees recognized. Now, I would like council's approval to be able to do that within the ordinance. That's what I'm asking. I think it's a good deal. Anytime you can get an employee to work for the city that has an AA degree, that has a BS degree, and that they can explain the benefits in writing to me, to the training chief, I will push this through to HR and the administration and see if we can't recognize them and pay them accordingly. That's all I'm asking.
It's been discussed with firefighters union.
This doesn't have anything to do with the union. This
Well,
is-
if we're changing pay and salary, and it could.
Well, I
Not
forwarded this.
against it, I'm just asking.
I forwarded this to the city attorney and had them vet it before I even brought it before you guys. This doesn't conflict with their contract.
Okay, that's correct. Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
Is this, as it relates to the incentives currently offered to the firefighters, are there any plans to make adjustments in other areas?
I've tried for the last 7 years to index the money. 4 years under the Barry administration, you weren't here then, but we were under extreme duress as far as financial straits. Doc will remember, Ms. Henson will remember, we actually were all furloughed against my better advice, but we were unable to convince or financially be able to provide the indexing for inflation. Did not bring it before you guys this time, as the MSU study was before you, and we dropped our budget request out of our budget because of the MSU study that you guys went with. So me and the deputy chief dropped our request out of the budget. You never saw those. So it does need to be addressed, but that would have to come in 2018's budget. It does need to be addressed for inflation. It has not. $50 in 1996 money does not buy what $50 in 2016 buys. Like I say, I've tried for 4 years on that. I've been chief as of September, 7 years. It's been a struggle.
It's not a large amount of money, and you should get some incentive to somebody to
Well, I've tried.
to further their education.
I've tried. Like I say, this is what people don't really understand, and you guys can explain it to them. You hold the purse strings, not me. I make requests, but the authority does not lie in the chief's office. The authority lies with council. Yeah. The administration of that authority lies with the mayor's office. I make recommendations, and I manage the money that you guys give me, and I've done so in a prudent and professional manner. I don't think I've come to you guys one time in 7 years and requested an appropriation change. Have I? I've stayed
We
within-
appreciate you.
All right.
Definitely. Let me make one let me make, hold on. Let me make one, if you would, let me make one clarification. You mentioned earlier in your statement about the MSU study and that it was before us and that we adopted raises pursuant to the MSU study. To some extent, that's not factually consistent. I didn't make that point to debate it, but as I said before, I'll ask that those in attendance and those who watched the meeting last time make notice of my comments from the last meeting. Also, for those who would like to see the MSU study, contact the administration or the city clerk, and they can potentially provide a copy to you.
Well, I don't mean to be confrontational either, but what did you base raises on?
We want
We're
to,
good.
we're ready to
Yeah.
vote.
Thank
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We're moving on. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, council.
All right.
Can we combine the next 5 from 9 through 14?
Well, we're on number 8.
Okay, thank you.
Routine item number 8, order authorizing billet and approving salary range.
Move approval.
Second.
Any comments?
You need
All
it.
in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Now can we combine 9 through 14, which is supplies for Public Works?
Just move to amend the agenda. You can do it.
Yeah, move to amend
I
the
second.
agenda to,
All in favor of making that amendment?
aye.
Any opposed? Combining routine item number 9 through 14,
Supplies.
supplies